Hello, this is Greg Berzinsky for Beardbrand, and I'm here with my week 4 update of the growing of my beard for 90 days without cutting and trimming. How many of you made it to the end of the 30 days? So it's been 4 weeks. I actually can't believe the month went really fast, and we're about 1/3 the way through the journey. I guess on Monday would be officially 1 month since I cut off my beard. And what has happened in the past week since we talked last? We'll have to say that actually this week people said, hey, you have a beard, and or nice beard I actually got. But the most telling thing to remind me that I might have a beard right now at the end of 4 weeks is I was walking through a mall, not even in my own city, and some guy started whispering to his girlfriend, and he grabbed my wife and said, is that Greg Berzinsky? And sure enough, he's a YouTube watcher, and you can see his picture here. We took a selfie, put it on social media, but recognized me. I don't know if he would have recognized me without this much, but I think it was the beard that actually got me recognized again as Greg Berzinsky from Beardbrand. So at the end of 4 weeks, you may find that you too suddenly have what would be called a beard. Some guys, that happens very early. If you have a very dense amount of growth on your face, in a week you can look like you have a beard. But the average guy, I think at the end of 1 month, at the end of 4 weeks, has what I would consider a beard. And so at the end of this 4 weeks, what have you seen in your beard that you weren't expecting? And I can tell you in my beard, there are certain key things that I noticed the last time I grew a beard, the last time I actually got to this far. It's only been twice that I've gotten this far. So 4 years ago, I got this far, and I plodded through and made it, obviously, to 4 years. But the year before that, you can see in this picture, I made it to 30 days. And at the end of that 30-day period, I said, this isn't working, and I shaved. So, and if I look at that picture, comparing it to what's on my face now, it isn't considerably different. And so I want to encourage guys that if you have patches like I do, these spots on my beard, thin spots under my lips here, disconnect between my sideburns and the goatee, that you might want to let it grow and make it to the end of 60 days. And what's really going to happen between day 30 and day 60 is your hair will probably be a full inch long at the end of 60 days, and we'll be able to cover over those spots. We've talked before about those spots. If your beard if you have big spots in your beard, areas like where there's really not a lot of hair, those spots aren't going to fill in. But if you have areas like this, they are going to fill in when your hair is about an inch long. So I want to encourage you to keep going and make it to the end of 60 days. I know a lot of guys actually have joined me in support of Movember in shaving off their beards, or in support of No Shave November, and cut off their beards, growing a mustache solo, or just growing their beards out for the first time. And a lot of guys actually have joined me in solidarity for me cutting off my beard. So I appreciate you guys who are doing that, and I like the support, appreciate that. And so at the end of this 4-week period for me, what I've noticed, and what I'll point out in my own beard, which you might notice in yours, at about week 3, I found that my hairs were growing straight out, and they weren't laying down. But then suddenly at the end of week 4, my hair is laying down, and that's very prevalent in my mustache. So I have pretty much a mustache at this point, and it really took the hairs that were growing straight out to fall over to give more coverage. So when the hairs layer over each other, you get much more coverage. An example would be a cornfield. If you're at eye level with a field of corn, you can't see through it. You can't see the ground except in the front. But if you are looking straight down at a cornfield, you will be able to see the rows, you will be able to see the dirt. So when your hair is growing straight out, you can see in through the skin. But as soon as your hairs lay over, when they're layered on top of each other, you can't see through them, you see less skin. My apologies, it's pretty lack of sun here, and I'm pretty white, and my beard, I think, is actually whiter than it was before, but you can actually see that my hair is starting to cover over my skin and I'm getting more even coverage. One thing that I've noticed, and a lot of guys have pointed this out in their own beards when I've talked to them, is the hairs do not grow in patterns that you think they're going to grow. Everyone thinks, oh, my mustache will go straight down, my beard will grow straight down, and that is not the case. Sure, there are guys whose hair grows perfect and they grow straight down, and I'm not one of them. And I would say the majority of guys' hair have some hair patterns that aren't typical to other guys. On my beard, this side of my face, hair grows straight down in a pattern which I would say is what you would consider typical. But if you look at this side, my beard is growing straight back toward my ear. Go figure. So that makes it difficult, when I'm trying to cover up this spot and this hair wants to grow straight back. What's going to help is when this hair gets longer, in another ½ an inch at the end of 60 days, these hairs will be long enough, heavy enough that they're going to fall straight down. And then you can actually start training your beard. I'll talk about that in a minute. My mustache, as I said before, is growing in a pattern that looks, pretty much straight down. But I know from the last time I grew out my mustache, and something that I've been dealing with for the past 4 years, is that this side of my mustache will go straight down. This side of my mustache is going to start curling this way. And that'll become obvious at the end of 60 days. So some of these things fix themselves at the end of 60 days, at the end of 90 days, and some of them will become more obvious and something that'll provide a challenge for you when you're trying to style your mustache or your beard as it gets longer in the future. And one last thing that you may notice at the end of 4 weeks, at the end of 30 days, is the extent of your beard. So there's areas of your beard that have patches. Some guys are blessed with full even coverage, but you'll also start to sense how high your cheek line is on this side and how far your neck hair is growing down. I've gotten a lot of questions lately as people have seen my updates asking if I've already trimmed my neck hair. We'll zoom in for a close-up, as I said, but I have not done any trimming or cutting, as I said I would for 90 days. So the extent of my beard really stops fairly clean right here. And when you see the close-up, you'll see that I have areas of hair that tend to grow here and almost back onto my neck. It's not quite my head hair, it's my beard hair on this side back here. So I'm not going to trim those hairs. I said for 90 days, but I think that might get pretty messy. We'll see. I guess I pledged I'm not going to trim or cut. So we'll leave those go so we can get a nice tight look at the end of 90 days. But you'll see the full extent of your beard pattern. So I'll talk about it in the next issue about, if you're going 90 days without trimming and cutting with me, great. But if you've gotten to this point and say you want a 5-6 week beard, when do you start shaving your neck? We'll talk about that in the next issue. So we're going to zoom in for a close-up here, but why don't you comment below and tell me So why don't you comment below and tell us what you've noticed about your beard in terms of its pattern growth and also the extent of your hair on your cheeks and on your neck. So once again, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for your positive comments. We do appreciate them. And I want to thank the guys that are joining me in this journey, growing out my beard without trimming and without cutting for 90 days. Until we meet again, beard on.
Thanks for watching this video. Beardbrand has launched a private community called The Alliance. It's for men who are looking to invest in themselves and who are looking to keep on growing. Click the link over there and come join us, or stick around and watch some more awesome videos.